Hello, hello, Daniel, Show of Force, coming at you with a nice theory poker video. Today we're gonna talk about like 4-bet sizings, how you can use them, how we should react to them, first of all, and how we can maybe like construct different strategies with our 4-bet sizings, starting from pre-flop, but going to post-flop as well. Easy, nice. I made some sims for you right here. I ran some preflop sims, and all this came about from a hand I had where I 3-bet small blind, button 4-bets me small. I have ace 9 suited, and I'm like, I don't really know like how I should react to this like small 4-bet. So I ran some sims for me and for you. Let's look at some results. Let's learn a bit about 4-bet sizings and how to use them, how to react, and then again learn some stuff. I ran First of all, I ran like three-way sim, small blind, button, small blind, and big blind. But the overarching principles we're gonna go into will obviously apply to other spots as well in terms of like 4-betting and reacting to 4-bets. So watch and learn. I think it's gonna be instructive. We're gonna touch up on some things, and yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun. The sun is going down here, so kind of have to uh, be on point with timing here. So I have two sims here. This with the white matrix, whatever, like the cards are written in white, is the sim with the big 4-bet sizing, and this one is with the dark letters, the dark font, is the small 4-bet size. Well, you will be able to see it here in the game tree as well, but just to keep track of it. So even before we go into the specific solution, there is a way to find out what is even like, just like from a GTO standpoint. We have two scenarios here. Like in both scenarios, button opens 2.2 BB, small blind 3-bets 12 BB, and now button is allowed to 4-bet to like two. I have two different sims with two sizings. One button goes from 12 BB 3-bet to 22 BB 4-bet, and the other 4-bets in the other it 4-bets to like 28 BB. So first of all, we can compare like which gives higher EV, just in terms of like GTO, before we even talk about ranges, exploits, whatever. Let's compare the EVs, and we just go to like to pre-flop, just like what's the EVs here. So we can see here button, yeah, button has like 2.7. I hope we are on the same page. Yeah, so button has 2.7 BB edge here, the EV. And let's see the other one. Here it has 2.74. So 2.712 compared to 2.74, we can clearly see 4-betting bigger in this scenario is the higher EV play. But I mean, that's all well and good, but let's see how hard the reactions are to these two strategies. And of course, and let's go back to the first one, to the small sizing. And of course, the button strategy will change when you make it do this like smaller sizing. What I would guess is that button takes a more linear approach to 4-betting when it 4-bets small, and it 4-bets more polarized when it when it 4-bets big. But actually, now that yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, it does go more linear. So yeah, also comparing these are some interesting results, and this kind of like now as the button, when you are choosing your sizing, I think the bigger you go, the more it makes sense to go polar. So here we see just like linear 4-bet size with the tens through aces. Just like the value range, pretty straightforward, mixing ace king, a lot of ace x, also like some of these like speculative stuff suited, and some small percentage of pocket pairs as well. Let's go back to the other one real fast, Mr. Producer. And we see here it's actually slow playing aces sometimes when it 4-bets big. Why? Like, why could this be? And I think it's when we 4-bet so big, now we force small blind to have some folds, and we sometimes want to trap aces and want like let small blind battle off. However, when we do 4-bet small blind doesn't really like. It really sucks when you 4-bet with aces and small blind folds. But when you 4-bet small blind is not really allowed to fold that much, so you're not really losing that much by 4-betting aces. So that could be some reasoning right there. And other than that, we see like ace king again. Like now, like ace king is 4-bet most of the time, and ace queen not really, just call most of the time. So here it's a bit more like in terms of bluffing, ace jack and ace 10, kind of similar frequencies. King queen, kind of similar frequencies. We see the range construction is kind of similar in the other regards. So nothing that interesting yet to see here. Let's go to the small blind reaction, and let's go to the small sizing. And let's see. So like small blind here is allowed to fold only 10%. So, I mean, there you go. Like, what do you think? Like, are you defending all of this versus like a small 4-bet? That's why I was like, yeah. So see, like ace 9 suited, the hand I had in game. You don't really fold it. Actually, we can see here folding ace 9 suited versus calling. It's actually a big mistake to fold here. So actually, before we go any further, one very important distinction. What I did here is I put PokerStars rake for 1K 510 rake on PokerStars in the sim. If you run preflop sims like I do, like I ran like probably like millions of preflop sims, you see like rake has a huge impact on how you play and the ranges. So let's say you are playing on GG where you pay preflop rake and the rake is much higher, then these results will be pretty different. Okay, let's give you some tips. I played around with it and with higher rake, and with the higher rake from GG, the calling frequencies go down significantly. What does that mean? So let's say here you can fold 10%, 10, 11%. With GG rake, preflop rake, and the high rake, you probably go like to 20% easily. Something like this. So keep that in mind. Think about your rake structure in your environment. How does it compare to the 5-10 on stars when we are looking at the solution, at these solutions? So that's first of all. So maybe like even like ace 9 suited maybe can be like a bit more like break even in my environment. But yeah, just calling everything that you are 4-betting, and then you're having some jams, slow playing aces. But more like, I think the interesting thing is like how much we are calling. We're not really allowed to fold much. And I would say, even though this is the inferior strategy when it comes to GTO, it's so hard to play against, and it's hard to like defend that wide preflop, but postflop will have a lot of implications. Let's go and compare now to the big size, and let's see the reaction to the big size. So here 46%, again same rake structure, 46% fold, just because we put like six BBs extra. So we see like now we are really tight. Now we're just folding, like king jack suited is becoming a fold. Ace queen. I mean, it's interesting that against this sizing, what I want to look at is like, it makes sense, right? Like it's doing more jamming as well against a bigger 4-bet size. So what I would do is like I compare the two sizings, and I kind of think, okay, what is it doing more of? What is it doing less of? So I'm seeing, okay, it's against the bigger size, it wants to call less, obviously. So it also wants to jam more. So it's gonna be like shoving more for value. So if we go back to the previous one, here it goes like maybe even 9s plus, it shoves. In the other sim, it just goes like low frequency 10s, and just jacks is the pure shove against the small bet. So it really, like as the small blind, it really changes the way we react in terms of shoving as well, how much we're shoving. We get a worse price on a call, so we have to shove more and fold more and shove more. So that's interesting, and we're just not really playing post flop that often, which is kind of uncomfortable to play. This is kind of like where I'm getting at, right? So we are allowed to fold, like we're allowed to fold all this suited stuff. We're allowed to fold some pocket pairs even, king, queen, ace, jack. Obviously, like the suited aces, some suited stuff here as well. So let's go back now, and let's think about slow playing. So let me know if you like this layout, or you just wanted to see them side by side. Maybe side by side is easier. Ace 9 suited, king 9 suited. Yeah, we have to take all of this action post flop. And I'll tell you right now, this is gonna be very drastically different in terms of playing. So let's say now I'm kind of making a case for 4-betting small as the button here. Let's say you know your 4-bet range, right? Like you kind of maybe you even screenshot this. Maybe you even like save this. Like I put quite a bit of time into running these sims. I run a lot of sims. Running preflop sims is actually pretty hard. You have to make sure the post-flop game tree is very on point in all the 3-bet pots, 4-bet pots, single raise pots, having the ability to go all in on all rivers, regardless of the SPR. They are hard as, like annoying as fuck to set up. So going back to the sim, I would suggest, you can, like if you want to take this further, I would suggest you take a solution and take your, because maybe you run some solutions like 4-bet pots as the small blind versus button, right? It's a very common spot. But if we look at this range here for 4-betting, so very narrow range to like a very wide range in terms of calling here, guys, when you have something like this, the post flop will be so drastically different. The post flop solutions will be like so drastically different than like the original one, when you have maybe in your sims it's more like this. But when someone 4-bets you small and you are obligated, basically you have to defend wide like this, it basically changes the whole strategy. It changes your whole post-flop strategy. It changes how much you check raise, how much you check call, how much you check fold, how you play the flop, how you play the turn. It changes everything when you have such a drastic discrepancy in frequencies. So just like some quick conclusions here, like what did we learn in terms of reacting versus, like in terms of like 4-bet sizings, basically as the button, as the 4-better here, what I would say is like the bigger you 4-bet, the more you probably go more polar, and maybe you put in some slow plays. We saw the smaller you 4-bet, the more you go more towards like linear 4-bet range. I think that makes sense because you are getting called a lot. So I think linear 4-bet range makes a lot of sense. But I think the interesting parts are as the small blind, and the hard parts. It's like the small blind, we see it. You have to call so much against the small 4-bet size. You have to slow play more as well, because you have to call more. You have to strengthen that range as well, and it's gonna be tougher. You're gonna go to post flop with a wide range you're being post flop with a wide range. You are capped, and you have no position. You are out of position. I mean, these three things suck hard, like for playing out of position. And the SPR would be slightly, like you have like bigger SPR compared to like a normal 4-bet size. So this is how you react. We call way more. And I would suggest, even though we saw button 4-betting having a bigger 4-bet strategy, it's gonna give higher EV. Maybe doing something like this with all the mistakes your opponents will do as the small blind, maybe this can actually give you way higher EV. I'm always about like finding strategies that, even if they are like unoptimal, like suboptimal in terms of EV, if they are like hard to play against, if they will provoke bigger mistakes from your opponents, if they are harder to play against, then maybe they are even more profitable, even though they are suboptimal. So just a quick lesson. I know we've been going for a bit. Kind of saw some different facets. Quick thing, I learned some things when it comes to like reacting to 4-bets here. I hope you learned as well. Let me know if you like this kind of sessions of like where I take a spot and I break it down. I normally do this kind of stuff with my students, but I thought like, okay, let's do this one on YouTube as well, because it's like an interesting spot, and the smart guys watching this, they will learn the stuff they have to learn, and they will be able to extrapolate it to other areas. If you want to go like see more of this kind of stuff, have a mosquito here trying to kill it. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, yeah, I will put a link, a time-sensitive link to my Discord. That's where you will find, like, sometimes I make a poker video like this and I think like, this is a bit too advanced. I don't think like the average YouTube viewer will enjoy it, and it will be a bit too much. So when I do that, I post the video just for my Discord community. So I will drop a link below for that. I don't want too many people in there. That's where I also post some hands. We have some interesting talks. So I mean, that's what you can do at this point if you want to get more of this. Obviously subscribe. Let me know if you enjoy this format. This is important. Maybe I will do more sims for you in the future. And that's it for today. Police is coming for me or something. Like, I hear the sirens. This is Daniel's show of force. Wrapping it up. Peace.